Hello, welcome to another episode of My Life in Objects. So I wanted to feature this book, and this is a result of a comment that someone had made, I think, on one of my channel update type videos where I was talking about, what I was planning on doing the different days that I upload videos in terms of into 2024. And there was a reference, I think, when I was about something I'd mentioned to do with like relaxation techniques and meditation, and I think the commenter was just curious as to how I sort of got into that whole area, if you like. So this is what this video is about, and really the pivotal book that did that. But before I flick through this, I just want to back up a little bit because there's a bit of a preamble to this, as often is the case in most of my videos. So probably my path into this book was reading a book called Hypnothink, which sadly I don't have anymore. And it was actually a book about self-hypnosis. Now, obviously self-hypnosis and meditation are two different states. They're not the same thing. But I was just curious about self-hypnosis as a form of relaxation, having come across, I think, some self-hypnosis and creative visualization tapes. So I bought a book on self-hypnosis called Hypnothink. I then subsequently bought a book on creative visualization, which the creative visualization book I still have, but I don't remember reading it that much, not the creative visualization book, that is. Because then I discovered more tapes, and I bought various meditation tapes and mainly, I suppose, visualization tapes. But I was really interested was what was at the core of meditation, what was its sort of history, if you like, within certain like religions, those sort of things. So I stumbled across this book. And I looked through this, and originally this must have been published in French and in 1974. And this English copy was translated in 1986. That's about right. I must have bought this sometime between 86 and 88, maybe. So this to me was a pivotal book that took me down the meditation rabbit hole and a whole load of other things as well. So, which I'll talk about while I'm flicking through it. Unfortunately, I don't know much about the author beyond the fact that I do understand he's written a number of books within the whole area of tantric practices and things connected with that. I believe, according to the blurb at the back, at the point this book was published, he taught Taoism at the University of Tulsa. So, yeah. But I just want to flick through the book because it's a fantastic book. I really got a lot out of it. The nice thing with it as well is it introduced to me a lot of concepts within both Buddhism and Taoism. The book's roughly two parts, so there's the Buddhist part, the Taoist part, and then within the Buddhist part it breaks it down into contemplative techniques from the various schools of Buddhism. Not all of them, but just some of them, enough to sort of whet your appetite. Now, it's really through this book, I think more so at that point, I got much more interested in Taoism than anything else, and then really didn't go down a major Buddhism rabbit hole until a lot later. So really, I would say, the end of the 80s, I was much more interested in Taoism. In the 90s, that sort of carried on. And then probably into the 2000s, that's when I started getting more interested again in Buddhism. And sort of alongside this, I have a number of. So I suppose, when you go down a Taoist rabbit hole, if you're also interested in Buddhism, then Zen comes up. So I've got probably a couple of books on Zen, including the fairly well-known Suzuki book, and then I do have a number of sort of older Taoist books, things like the Tao Te Ching. So yeah, if anybody's interested in me flicking through some of that stuff, I'd be more than happy to do that in a later episode, or several later episodes. And then when I think about it, I came in through being interested in self-hypnosis and creative visualization, and I was always aware that there was a big difference mentally state-wise, between, say, meditation and self-hypnosis. But it wasn't really until the 2000s that I really got in self-hypnosis. I actually went on a course for a weekend with a management hypnotist, so sort of person that gets involved with sports people, or business people that are maybe doing big talks or something like that. And so it was interesting to actually properly experience being hypnotized. And this was in a not in any stage environment, but just what regular everyday hypnosis sort of feels like, and the difference between saying that and doing meditation. So that was a nice experience in the 2000s to sort of, I suppose, complete the circle and go back. And that really came about as me getting interested in people like Milton Erickson, who's a well-known, I think, hypnotherapist from back in the day, and that sort of stuff. Again, me asking the questions to myself, what's, if you think of the sensation of meditation versus the sensation of self-hypnosis, what's that really like? And it's one of those funny things, because you can't describe it, you have to experience it. And it was nice to be able to do that. But yeah, this book really started, I would say, kick-started everything. The other two, the ones I've mentioned, the Hypnothink one and the creative visualization, sort of were the first step, but this really broadened my horizons. And then subsequently led on in the, I suppose, the late 90s, early 2000s. I also did a number of other courses. I think some were with the British School of Meditation, do these distant learning courses where I learned a little bit more about some stuff behind Taoism, and also broader, like, relaxation techniques, so meditation, self-hypnosis, creative visualization, a whole load of other stuff as well. So that was super interesting. But yeah, I don't know how easy it is to track down this book. I have noticed copies of it, I think, are available on Amazon. Interestingly, there's like the original, I think, leather-bound, like 1974 French edition of this kicking around out there. So yeah, there was a bit here on Zazen, this idea of just sitting. And at the end of the day, I think you go through all these different practices, techniques, and I find, like a lot of people that have studied meditation, just come back to sitting and focusing on something. And it's like you come full circle, and it becomes really simple, and you just go, okay, I'm going to pick something to focus on, and that's the object of my meditation. And I'm going to, do that in the moment with my full attention. But yeah, definitely initially I became a lot more interested in Taoism as a result of this, and really only looped back to Buddhism sometime in the 90s, I think, and then into the 2000s. But yeah, very interesting book. And yeah, opened up a ton of rabbit holes. It also works really nicely because, within Taoism, there's a lot of, or there's a whole area which was almost like alchemical in nature. And so I had an interest in that, like things as well, like that might be associated with that, like Gnosticism. And so I've got a number of other books which are sort of connected with those areas and paradigm shifting and that sort of stuff. So if there's any other allied areas to meditation in that sort of area of Gnosticism, alchemy, mysticism, let me know, and I'll see what books I can dig out that I have. I don't have a massive library in that area, but I do have some interesting stuff that I've stumbled across and picked up over the years. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future video.